Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Phone In Let's Talk Arsenal series. This is the show in which we have a chat to the people that would like to come on and have a conversation about a specific topic. And today's topic is focusing around Mikel Arteta and his brand new contract. Now, if you tuned in to this morning's show at 8 a.m. When I announced that we were going to be doing this, you'll know that this specifically is a show trying to get into the minds of, people that aren't necessarily so happy about the decision, kind of understand why they're not so happy about this. And thankfully, a few people have contacted throughout the day. I was actually quite surprised. A lot of people contacted me to get involved with the show. And then when I asked them whether they or not they was happy with the contract, they were. And I was like, we're kind of looking down the other direction today. And I think a lot of the comments from yesterday's show when we did the members show, a few people felt like it was unbalanced, that, it was a bit of an echo chamber. And so today is the chance to, balance things and to get the thoughts. So we've got some guests lined up already to come on today's show and have a bit of a chat. Fingers crossed they're going to be here to turning up very, very soon, and others as well a little bit later on. Got no time constraints on this. I'm happy to chill and have a chat for as long as we need to. So if you disagree with Arteta's new deal, you can get in contact via Twitter and Instagram. DMs are open on both platforms. And you'll be able to join in the show if you get a reply from me. Hopefully I'll see them. I'm multitasking effectively at this stage. I've got to run the show, talk to the guests that are on, and sort out any other guests that would like to come on as well. So you can imagine it's going to be quite busy over the next hour plus that we're doing this. That's how you get involved. You need to be over 18, have a quiet place to record, have a camera, microphone. It can be, of course, using headphones if that's the way in which you want to go down the route. That's absolutely fine. Just any way you can record in a quiet place, and you'd like to get on and have a talk about the fact that you're not happy, specifically not happy about Mikel Arteta's new deal, I'd love to talk to you. So we're going to get our first guests on very, very soon. Let's just say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world this evening, into the chat box. Good morning, good afternoon to Paul. Maximius, thank you so much for joining me. Mr. Dazen, this is going to be a fun one. I hope so. Hopefully it's a good conversation, because that's what I want to understand from people's perspectives. Good morning and good afternoon to Rancid, Steve Stone, to Noah, to Lynn. I hope you're doing all good and well. Owen, thank you for joining us, mate. Chris, we've got Terence in here as well. Gunny Gooner as well joining us too. As I said before, if you'd like to get on the show, send us a DM and we will sort this out. Arsenal Analysed. Good afternoon to you, mates. Good stuff. Reply to some messages about coming on the show. Good stuff. Getting interest already. Good to see that. Hopefully we can get some people on soon. Wilson says, why on earth are some opposition players and pundits so bitter about Arsenal, Tom? Come on, man. Maybe we can answer that question today. Manu says, have you actually found these people? Well, you're going to see. You're going to see. We're going to have a good chat in just a second. Jason, good afternoon to you, mates. A pint and a podcast. Happy days. You can't really be complaining about life if you've got a pint and a podcast in your hand. Let's crack on then for today's show and bring on our first guest. I'm very, very happy to be welcomed by Luca. How you doing, Luca? Are you good?
Big up, man. Thanks for inviting me on. That's really, really great and all that.
No problem at all. I mean, first of all, you've got your own channel. Give that a shout out to
people. Well, I've got a channel. Yes, this is Luca's Life. Type it in there. It's on the bottom of the zone. I do Arsenal content, and also I do mainly do Arsenal content. I do FIFA streams. I do day out vlogs as well. And but no, check it out. It's really great, and we are on the road to 1,700 subscribers.
Amazing work, mate. Vlogging is something I've always wanted to do, and I never find the confidence. So props to you for doing that, because it does take confidence to do it, and I haven't quite got there yet. Let's get straight into it, Luca, and talk about Mikel Arteta, because obviously you're not happy. At the moment you disagree with the idea of signing him up to a new deal. So just to lay kind of the groundwork out, tell me why you're unhappy about the new
reason why, and this is what I don't get right. And the trouble is, I'm a Mikel Arteta out, because I just look at it like, look, yes, he's done very well. The first 3 games at the start of the season, like, we were going into the international break thinking, right, okay, September last year, 0 points. The pressure was on. We got slapped, and I can understand the Brentford game. Yeah, we had a lot of players due to COVID. Chelsea and Manchester City was just understandable to lose. yes, he's turned it around. I get that, and we're doing very well, and the players are listening, and we are in a top 4 mix. No one expected us to get top 4. I said this on my channel. I expected us to finish outside European football, and for me, I look at the reason why. Like, I think 3 years is a bit too much for me, because what if we don't get top 4? Then that's the thing. And if you don't get top 4, then why are you giving a manager, right, a 3-year contract? Whereas, can you just not sign the contract until maybe in the summer and see what he does? Because this summer is huge. And if we get Champions League football, I said on my channel, right, I said, I'm willing to give him a chance, but not sign the contract. And it's about, if we get top 4 this season, and then we have to build from it. It's no good getting top 4 from this season and then not addressing anything in the summer, not getting the right players. Then where are we going to be going? Because this is what I'm worried about. Because Arteta's looking at it thinking, right, okay, I've got this 3-year contract. I need 3 years. I don't want a situation like the previous managers have done, like Unai Emery and that. And then, like I'm hearing people saying that within these 3 years, he might not last 3 years. He might get sacked in those if things don't go well. Let's say if we don't get top 4 this season, I think we'll get top 4. But if we don't get top 4, and if we don't get it next season, and if we with Europa League, players like Saka, Smith Rowe, all them lot getting injured, playing 3 days a week, that is going to be worrying. And we've had situations like this before, because we don't want to go back into square one. And I know people are saying that, yes, there's a process and all that. Fair enough. For me, I'm one of those fans where I don't believe in any of the process.
Okay.
But the trouble is, he is doing well right now. Look, the last 4 games, right, we'll back him, because we haven't completed the 4th spot yet.
You backed him before that, though, as in you backed him, as in you've wanted him to succeed, though.
Well, yeah. Look, the thing is, right, on the day, right, I would, if he does well, I will praise him. And that's it. I'm not going to be one of those. I'm not going to be one of those fans thinking, right, okay, well done, he's done well, I want him out. I'm not his biggest fan, because I don't see this manager, if he's going to get a league title, he needs to prove to me that he can start challenging, and we've got to build from top 4 and all that. Look, he's got a 3-year contract now. We can't do anything about it. We're going to have to back him, okay? And it is what it is. Some people might say, Gooner talk, that he might not be there in the 3 years. He might not be there. Like, I don't know what you think. Do you honestly think he's going to last 3 years if things go wrong? Or do you feel like, I don't know what you think.
If things go wrong, I think you look back to the Unai Emery situation. When things went wrong, they sacked him. So, I think the club's got potential to see when things go wrong that they will. However, what I think about the difference between, say, Unai Emery and Arteta is that I think that there's a backing behind, Arteta that wasn't necessarily the same level as it was for Unai Emery, and that's why they've given him this new deal. I think they've seen enough this season and in the summer prior to the season to suggest that he is the right manager for the job, taking us in the right direction. Just to ask you a couple more questions about this, just to kind of better understand where your head's at on this. Before the season, you said you didn't think we were going to get top 4. Right. Where did you think we were going to finish?
I thought we were going to finish between 8th and 10th.
Okay. So the fact that we finished, or the fact that we've challenged at the moment for a top 4 place, the lowest we can finish is 6th. Most likely the lowest we can finish is 5th because of how far we are ahead of Man United with the amount of games we've played. So the lowest now realistically, we can finish being 5th. Why, if your expectation was 8th, 9th, whatever, the fact that we are in this situation and that clearly we've overachieved your expectation, does that not equate a new deal for you?
Look, I understand that. And yes, he has signed a 3-year contract. I get that. But the thing is, it's about if he gets top 4. And for me, yes, this season, right, yes, okay, fair enough. Like, I didn't expect we weren't going to improve, like finishing outside of Europe. And I've seen other teams, it's worked. Like, you've seen Chelsea, you've seen an elite manager like Conte, right? Whereas he's gone from 10th to the 11th. And do I think he deserves a contract? Well, yeah, of course, but the thing is, I wouldn't give it 3 years. I think 3 years is a bit too much.
It's 2 years though. It's not 3.
It's 2 years, but an option for 3. But the thing is, I get that, and the trouble is, and I know 2 years isn't a bad thing, and he does deserve the contract. But I just look at it right, and I just feel like, are we going to be going anywhere? That's the thing. That's the
Well, I
thing.
think that you look at this season. From my perspective. Okay, let's ask you because it's better to get from your perspective.
Yeah,
What do
that's
you
fine.
think Arteta's successes have been during the time that he's been here? What has the good things been that he's
The good
done in
thing
your
what
mind?
he's done is for me that he's won the FA Cup. Like
Mm,
he's come in, he's managed to settle down. Yes, he did lose his first game in charge. He drew that game. I think it was Bournemouth. But
yeah.
the thing is, he's the youth as well. He's done very well. He's managed to deal with players like Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Tomiyasu, and that's the positive he's done. And for me, I just look at it right, and Saka and Martinelli and Smith Rowe has done very well. And yes, the only issue I have with him with Saka is that he's overplaying him too much. That's the only thing, and he needs a break. And I know we had international break a couple of months ago,
Mm.
and he did have a bit of a break in between. But for me, I look at it. That's the positive thing about Arteta. There's a culture around the football club. There's
Mm.
something about where he's getting like Odegaard playing well. He's got the best out of Odegaard. Look, I wasn't when we got Martin Odegaard on a
You
permit
weren't
deal.
alone.
I
Yeah.
wasn't his biggest fan. I wanted James Maddison.
Yeah. So a lot of fans.
But the thing is, I still think Maddison's a great player. And for me, you know what I mean? I get where you're coming from, but the only negative I will say about this is that it's Saliba. He's not giving Saliba a chance. He's only played one pre-season friendly, and that was against Milton Keynes Dons. And then Guendouzi for me, like, yes, I know Guendouzi has an attitude problem, but I still think there's a player in it. And yes, people might say, yeah, oh, it's the French league, but Guendouzi's gone to improve it. And I'll bring him back. Like 100%, I'll bring him back. And for me, I think he's better than Xhaka, in my opinion. And I know Granit Xhaka has really stepped up this season. I think Xhaka has had a good season overall, but I still don't think that after the mistakes he's made in the past, I don't think he's not all that, but he has had a good season. He's been great recently. And for me, the players, look, I look at it right, and I think the players, what Arteta's got the best out of, like Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, all them lot, that's great. That's great. But the trouble is, like, with Xhaka and all them lot, I'm just thinking, right, are they going to be good in the next previous seasons? That's the problem.
Well, okay, let's tackle that. So, from when I asked you the question about what the successes we've got, he won the FA Cup. He's done good things with the youth. Two things that I would agree with you. He's done well. I think to add to that, he's overachieved. I thought we would finish probably about sixth this season, fifth, sixth. So he's probably overachieved in my view. He's definitely overachieved in your view.
He has improved. He has improved. Like I said at the start of the season on my channel, I said, let's aim top six.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm thinking if we weren't in the top four race.
If we've done that though, and you said let's aim top six, but you're saying that he should, I don't want to presume. Do you want him out? Like, do you want him gone? If you could sack him today, would you sack him?
I wouldn't sack him now, but I'm not his biggest.
But you wouldn't renew his contract, yeah? Okay, fair enough. I just need to clarify that because if you've said there that you think that you thought we'd finish 8th, 9th, which is fine. I think you certainly aren't alone in thinking that at the start of the season. A lot of people thought that. We've overachieved in that view. Yeah. We've improved the youth. We've won an FA Cup in 2020, which I think, let's not focus on the past. Let's dwell on what we've actually done this season. We've moved out a hell of a lot of deadwoods. How many of us Arsenal fans called for Mustafi, for Chambers, for Skratis, for Ozil, these players to get moved on, for Bellerin, Kolasinac, Mkhitaryan, players that weren't good enough. He's moved them on in his tenure. And in his tenure, he's brought in, as players that you've praised just a second ago, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Ben White, I think, has been brilliant this season. Ramsdale's come in and been a really good addition at goalkeeper. Gabriel, Thomas Partey. In fact, 4 of the 5 starting back 5, including the keeper, are his signings that have taken us to this level where we're competing. You think about the wage bill that's been reduced as well. We were overpaying for players in wages. We've reduced that. We've reduced the average age of the squads to build ourselves this foundation where in the summer of 2022, we can go out and hopefully, if Edu is honest in what he's saying, go out and sign 1 or 2 big players on top of some other signings. And he's improved us defensively. We're not conceded a set piece this entire season, and he appointed Nicholas Jova that helped with that. So when you can take all of those things into consideration, and the fact that obviously we have the chance of finishing in the Champions League this season, what is the argument to say that a new contract with a year left on his deal is not the right choice?
I just feel, look, I understand where you're coming from, and look, I just feel giving him a 2-year contract with an option. I just feel like, look, like I said earlier, and I just feel like maybe give him to see what he does in the summer. And yes, he probably does deserve it, because yes, I expected us to finish in the top 6, 8, 10 at the start of the season. Yes, has he overachieved? Has he achieved something? Yeah, he has. He's got us into the top 4. I'm willing to give him a chance.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, my only issue is, right, we want to be challenging, okay? And I know people are going to be saying in the comments, we're not Liverpool and Manchester City. I get that.
Not yet.
But the trouble is, this is what baffles me. And people say, Jurgen Klopp, it took 4 years. But the thing is, why are people comparing Jurgen Klopp to Arteta within the next 4 years? Because the trouble is, this isn't Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp's different. Klopp done it. And I think it, like someone said in the comments, right, it comes down to recruitment. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the recruitment's good at the moment.
Okay.
I think the only issue we need to do is do what Liverpool did. Look at Andy Robinson. They got players like that. I think we can do that. Maybe go to the Leicesters, the Brightons, the Palaces. Look at those. These players are looking good. And if he could do that, that's great. That's great. So, but the trouble is, I'll give him a chance, see what he does this season. I do think we will get top 4 this season, because we're looking good at the moment. But it's about the long term. Is this manager going to actually progress? That is my only worry. But everything else, the positive I will say is he's doing well. He's getting the best out of the players. He's looking good.
So what would have had to have happened for you to say, you know, he's deserved that contract? You know, he got a year left on his deal. You know, most clubs would make a decision on a coach, you know, a year remaining. That's what most clubs would do. So with that threshold being around this point, what would have had to have happened this season? Because you've listed, you know, a lot of positive stuff, and you know, some of the criticisms that you've labelled, I think, you know, are fair. But what would have had to have happened this season for you to say, yeah, you know what, he deserves that new deal?
Look, this season, right, is obviously that he didn't expect we weren't going to get top 4, right? Even I think Josh Kroenke said, or someone said the other day.
Edu said he hadn't set a target on the season.
No, and apparently the board was saying that we're ahead of schedule, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. We are ahead of schedule. They are right about that. The board do get things wrong at times, but we are ahead of schedule. But saying that if you're ahead of schedule, yeah, okay, that's great. We're in the top 4. We haven't been in the Champions League for we haven't qualified since 15, 16 season or something like that it was. So for me, yeah, okay, they can actually say that. I can't remember what year it was.
Yeah, but, it was 2016 was the year the last time we qualified. Yeah,
but the trouble is, right, when they say that we've gone ahead and actually saying that we've overachieved, yeah, fair enough, that's that.
What would I want to know from you? What would have had to have happened this season so that you could have sat on your channel and said, you know what, Arteta's done great. He deserves a new 2-year extension. What would have had to have happened? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I think overall, look, he might deserve a contract for this season. Yes, he has overachieved. Well done. He gets top 4. He gets a contract. But I'm just worried about whether he's actually going to bring like he's treated. Yeah. Look, another positive I will take on the note is he's managed to deal with Mesut Ozil's situation, right? He managed to deal with Kolasinac, Deadwood, and that. He is learning and that. But it's just about the long look. He does deserve a contract.
Okay, so he does deserve the contract, yeah. But that's my confusion, is because obviously when we spoke before, you know, and I watched your, because you know, you said you had a channel, so I went and watched a couple of your videos, and you know, after we lost to Brighton in one of your videos, you called him a PE teacher, which, you know, you're entitled to the view of that, and that you wanted Ancelotti. That was the person that you wanted.
Look,
you know,
Ancelotti was one of my first managers I wanted, and for me, first place.
He nearly took Everton. He took Everton to the point where they nearly might go down. You know,
Is that Real Madrid? Look what he's achieving.
He's at Real Madrid. Like I think that's
I
the
know
sentence.
he's at Real Madrid, and I know Real Madrid are different compared to Everton. I totally respect that. But I think we needed, at the time before Arteta came in, I was thinking, right, okay, you just bring in the manager in, whereas, okay, fair enough, you give him a chance, see what he does. But
So,
yeah, go on.
So no, sorry, go. Sorry.
No, but no, as I was saying, you're thinking, right, okay, you're bringing the manager in, right? And then you're thinking, when he first came in a couple of years ago, you're thinking, why are you bringing a PE teacher, manager, right? Whereas
he's not a PE teacher, is he? Though he's, he's a coach.
At the time, because all he was doing was sitting cones around Pep Guardiola. But
was he doing that? Is that what you think he was doing at Pep? Because if that's what he was doing, to be honest, I'll be very blunt here. If your opinion of him was that he was laying out cones for Pep Guardiola, the fact that someone that was laying out cones for Pep Guardiola has come into Arsenal and achieved all those positives that you yourself just listed, that's pretty incredible, you know, for a PE teacher to go and achieve that. That's pretty insane.
No, I'm enjoying Arsenal at the moment, and the trouble is, watching games at the moment, I'm seeing improvement, and it's looking great at the moment. Yeah. It's great to be an Arsenal fan. I just want to get Champions League football.
So do I.
And if he gets Champions League football, and if we do improve on that, then I'm willing to come say, you know what?
He deserves it.
He deserves it. And I think at the moment, at this moment of time, I think he does deserve the contract, but I wouldn't give him a long-term deal. I'd give him maybe...
I don't think 2 years is long-term. I think Pardew 7 years or a 5-year Klopp deal, that's long-term. I don't think going from 2023, which is when his deal expired, to 2025 is long-term. You know, I think that's a fair reflection. Oh, it's not committed us too long. It's not giving him 1 year. Because I mean, why, if you're a manager, why would you sign 1 year? You're not going, you know, that doesn't show any faith in you. Why would you sign the deal? So I think going from 2023 to 2025, I think is fair. Luca, I've got my next person who's going to be coming on the line. I have to say, you know, fair play for coming on the channel is what I have to say, because I know that there's been a lot of opposition to the point of view, because I know, you know, from where I sit and people listen to the channel, they're going to be very much on where I'm at, which is fair. But fair play to you for coming on the channel, mate. And again, give yourself a shout out and your channel as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me on.
My pleasure.
Absolutely brilliant and a great show, and big up to everyone in the comments. You lot are real ones here. And for me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Luca's Life with apostrophe. Just type in Arsenal if you can't find it, and follow me on Instagram and follow me on Twitter, MartinelliAFC1. Thank you very much for letting me come in on. Much appreciated.
My pleasure, mate.
I'll let you get on. And great show as always. And I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Have a good one. See you soon. Pleasure.
Bye.
Have a good one, mate. See you later. A massive thank you to Luca. I was watching the chat box a lot of the time that Luca was on. You know, I had to block a few people, which is a shame. Look, I get that you guys subscribe to me for my view, and you know, my view has been very, you know, positively towards Arteta for the most point that I've been here. But if someone's coming on the show and raising a different point of view, you've got to respect it. You've got to respect a different opinion, because you know, I've offered this opportunity for other people that aren't in the same mind to a lot, and they haven't taken it. And you've got to say fair play to someone for, you know, coming on the channel and having a chat about it. Speaking of which, let's bring in our next guest. It's SA. How you doing, SA? You good?
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? I just want to make sure I'm not disrespecting it.
Yes.
Brilliant stuff. Good. That's
great. Thanks for having me.
Being a teacher and reading registers, helping me out there. How you doing? You good? You well?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thanks. Good.
Good stuff. Now, we had a conversation, obviously, in the comment section of a previous video, didn't we?
Yes.
And I think the point that you raised, and I don't want to misquote you, so do tell me if I'm wrong. I think the point that you raised was about that you felt that the top 4 challenge this season, you know, it's not unexpected that we're in a top 4 challenge. Is that fair? Is that fair?
Well, I think we sometimes as a fan base, we don't really aim high enough. And then what do I mean by that? First, let me really explain our position as a club.
Go for it, man.
Are we a top 6 club? Do you think we are we're among the big 6?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Very good. Thanks. And if you think we're meant to be in the big 6 and we finished 8 twice, because of Arteta, that was not really okay, because I think we should have probably broken into the top 6. But fair enough, I'll cut Arteta some slacks because he's trying to fix he's trying to build. Sometimes you have to take some steps backwards to move forward. However, this season, having spent about 160 million and not being in Europe, we should be breaking into the top 4. And I'll tell you why. As a top 6 club, as a club being in the top 6, we should be breaking into the top 4 because we don't really have enough Europe. We don't have European commitments. We don't have anything to take our time. So we should be able to channel all our energy and do really well. And that's why I knew all along that if Arteta is really doing what he's meant to be doing right, we should be in the top 4. So I'm not surprised where we are. I'm a bit shocked. So many people keep saying, "Oh, we should be 6th. Oh, 5th is what I target. Oh, 5th, 6th. Oh, 5th."
That's an awful impression of me, by the way.
That's wrong. I mean, I've been seeing people say that. Like, why should we be 6th after spending 150 million? No European commitments. Yeah. Look at Chelsea. They won the league. The other season they had a very poor season. They came 10th, and then without European commitment, they won the league the next season. So I'm not expecting us to win the league, but I'm expecting us to be at least 3rd and 4th. And I think we would have made 3rd this season. Looking back, we didn't sign Tomiyasu on time. We didn't sign Odegaard on time. Imagine if we had those guys pre-season. Our first game against Brentford, we won that game. The second game against Chelsea, we probably took a point or we beat Chelsea. We'll probably be in 3rd place by now. So
Sorry, go on. Keep going.
Yeah. So I just think we need to start seeing the bigger picture and stop calling ourselves a mid-table team. We're not a mid-table team. The second tiers after the top 6, the second tier teams are the Leicesters, the Wolverhampton, and West Ham. That's the next tier. We're not in that league, even though we finished 8th twice. People keep getting that wrong. Yes, we finished 8th twice, but that's not where we belong to. That's not our natural habitat, if you let me use that word.
Yeah, no, I use that all the time.
Yeah. So it's not our natural habitat. We're a top 6 team, so we should be breaking into the top 4. Now, just before I let you answer your question, before you ask your question, if, let's say, God forbid, Man U don't make top 7 this season, which is still possible. Let's say they don't, and Ten Hag is given 160 million in the summer by the Glazers. Do you think Man U would finish outside the top 4 next season? I want your honest answer on this, Tom.
Do I think the Man United would finish outside the top 4 next season?
Yes, if they're given 150 million.
Yes, I do.
Why do you think so?
Because I think Eric Ten Hag is going to be building something. So I think they are going to get rid of a hell of a lot of players. And I think they're going to replace them with players that might not necessarily be able to give their peak next season. And so because of that, and I think that Arsenal are basically a year ahead of United in terms of their build. So that you would look at the players that we would sign in the summer. And Edu, you know, what he talks about, if he's telling the truth, wants to sign 1 or 2 big players on top of the usual signings that we would do. You look at Chelsea, you know, Chelsea are a team that won the Champions League last season and would be expected with their new ownership takeover that's going through now. They're probably going to spend, you know, the idea that they wouldn't spend because Abramovich isn't there anymore, you know, it's a fantasy. They are still going to spend some money. They are still going to try and look to improve the team. They're going to have someone like Ben Chilwell come back, who's been out for the majority this season as well, which is a big, big plus on someone like Marcus Alonso. It's a big step up.
Yeah.
So, and they've already got players like Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, players that are gradually getting better because they're young and they're improving. Reece James as well. Man City and Liverpool are clear. We know that. And then you've got us. And as I said, I think we're a year ahead of Manchester United. So next season, Man United get rid of the likes of Paul Pogba, Mata, Matic, maybe Ronaldo, who knows. And they spend 150 million on players. I think we were talking this morning about Ekitike on the 8 a.m. show, Darwin Nunez. You know, these are young guys that are going to have to transition and join. So, yeah, my expectation is that they probably would finish out the top 4 because I think Chelsea, City and Liverpool are better. And I think we should be finishing above Man United definitely next season because they're going to be on that first step of their rebuild. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
So what I kind of want to know is, based on what you said there about, you know, the expectation about where we should finish, is say we had Champions League football or Europa League football this season with the squad of players that we had. Where do you think we would be in the league if we'd have had European football this season?
Realistically, maybe 5th or 4th if we're fortunate.
So the same as where we are now.
Yeah, if we had European commitments, yes.
So if the European commitment means that we'd be 4th or 5th, which is about the same as we are now, Why did you say that
without
European?
Because without European commitment, it's like, having to travel on the Tuesday night to Germany, coming back on the Thursday, only to go to Leicester on a Saturday. Players could get tired. I understand that. They could be fatigue creeping in. And it's natural.
Oh,
and we don't really have that
big.
And we don't really have a big team as well.
No, I agree with you. Absolutely 100%. But my issue is that I asked you where you think we would finish if we had European football, and you said 4th, 5th. But that's where we are without it.
Yes, without it. But
you understand what I'm saying?
Sorry,
you're effectively saying there's no difference. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying
your expectation is if we finish 4th, 5th with European football, but without it, we are 4th, 5th right now.
Yeah, we are 4th, 5th, but without European football, we probably should be aiming higher. That's what I'm saying. We probably should be going for 3rd, not where we are right now. If we had no European, but with European commitments, I probably would say, okay, well, maybe some games we might get tired, we might lose, but this is where I think we need to start thinking and start seeing ourselves as a top 6 team. We're not in that second tier that most people always think we are, because we finished 8th twice back to back. We need to start seeing ourselves like, yes, we ought to be in the top 4, because Man U are not great. I mean, this season they've been really poor. They're not great, but I just think sometimes the fan base, we don't really hold this club accountable enough. Vina came out saying we've overachieved and things like that, and I don't think we've overachieved. I think this is where we ought to really be. We should be fighting for the top 4
at the start of the season.
Where did I think we will finish?
Yeah, so the game before Brentford, where did you think?
Before Brentford, I was thinking we'll be in the top 4, honestly speaking. And
why?
Because we've spent a lot of money and we don't have European commitments.
Before Brentford, before Brentford, we were still yet to spend 80 million of the money that we spent overall.
Yes, but there were speculations that they're going to still buy some more players. They're going to buy Odegaards and some Yasus or right back at that time. So I was thinking, maybe if we do get these guys on board quickly and they have some preseason games, then yes, why not? We've sorted out defense. We had Saliba that we sent on loan, and then we got Ben White in, which is good. But I just felt we should have really, start aiming for the top 4, not 5th or 6th. So because we're in the top 6.
After those first 3 games, we lose to Brentford because, in that game we had Saka was on the bench. He was still recovering from fitness. Aubameyang and Lacazette both had COVID, so we didn't have them. Thomas Partey wasn't back yet either. Gabriel wasn't available either. We were without, and Nketiah is also out, so we had to play Balogun up front, of course, if you remember back to that. Yeah. We lose to Brentford. We lose to Chelsea, still without our main strikers. I mean, Aubameyang came on for the last few minutes, but Gabriel Martinelli started up front. They dropped Balogun, I think, for that game, so they weren't happy with the performance against Brentford. And we hadn't signed, Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Ødegaard hadn't come in by that point either. Gabriel still wasn't back. And then we go to Man City and lose 5-0. Xhaka gets sent off. We start, and Leno's starting in goal still. I think we went with a back 3 of Chambers, Holding, and Kolasinac was a back 3 that we went with. Madness. And I sat after that game and I said, I think that Arteta should have gone after Villarreal, and my mind hasn't changed at this point. After Man City, my mind hadn't changed. So after that point, that we've lost the first 3 games, but the transfer window is now closed and we've spent that 150 million. We're bottom of the league. Where did you think we should finish?
I was thinking probably we might finish 5th. Okay. And the reason being was because I didn't expect Manchester United to be this poor. That's being honest. I wasn't expecting Manchester United to be this poor. That they would be. I had some sort of hunch that they won't be this great this season. Okay. But I wasn't thinking they'll be this poor. That's being honest. I didn't really see them to be this poor in the sense that they'll be losing some games that normally they should win. So I just think Arsenal as a football club, we just need to be aiming a bit more higher than what we tend to look at, and and also plan early enough, because I don't think we plan early enough when we do things.
I would agree with you about the recruitment and the planning. We should have been better with that, and I'll absolutely hold my hands up and say that's fair. It's a fair criticism. My issue at the moment is that where you've said that, after those first 3 games, window slam shut, you thought we should finish 5th, but we're 4th right now, and we could finish 4th. So why wouldn't he deserve that new contract?
Right. So in terms of the contract, I'm not really against Arteta having the contract, and I'll tell you why.
Lovely.
I think Arteta has been, scrutinized and criticized by a large section of our fan base because we all know his history. We know his story. You're as good as what people know about you. If Arteta came from somewhere which we had no idea about, maybe Pluto or Jupiter, and he came with this reputation that he's the greatest manager from that planet, I think our reaction towards Arteta will be different. Everyone treats Arteta like, oh, he's a rookie, he's a rookie, he's a rookie, he's a rookie. I get it. Yes, he's a rookie, but he is a good manager. And I'll tell you why he's a good manager. He's a good manager because I remember when he started with the likes of Frank Lampard and the Solskjaers, on paper, Arteta doesn't really look great compared to these other guys, sure. Let's be honest. But he's the last man standing. Let's be honest. He's the last man standing. Solskjaer's left, Lampard is left, but we're still here with Arteta. We're still stuck with him. It's natural for humans to always attack people when they think you're not good enough, or because they have access to your profile and they think, okay, you're not good enough. But I just feel there's a manager in Arteta, and we just need to give him time. I know this is going to be hard for so many people to swallow, but it's the truth. I see Arteta as someone who's going to go places, maybe not with Arsenal, but with time, he's going to do really well somewhere in the future. So I think that's one of the problems why so many Arsenal fans keep attacking Arteta, because we all know his history, we all know where he's coming from, and we all think he's not the right person for the club.
It's fair enough. Look, as I say, I think that our disagreement was obviously about kind of the expectations at the start of the season. But I think, as you said there, the contract from your point of view is deserved, and it was the right decision to give him that new deal. What do you make of the timing of the announcement? Just lastly, before we wrap up on your section, do you think they were right to announce it now?
I think they should have waited for the end of the season.
Why is that?
Because that could be some sort of distraction right now. We haven't really made top 4. We're still on that journey. So I just think we should have, maybe sealed the top 4 spot first before giving Arteta an extension. Maybe 2 years would have been better. 3, well, if the club thinks 3 is okay, then 3 is fine. But I just feel,
isn't it? Because he had 1 year.
Is it 2?
Yeah, because he had 1 year left on his current deal, so they only extended it by 2 years. Yeah,
for 2 years. Okay, so I think we just need to be patient and let's give Arteta some time and see. I know so many people want us to start winning things instantly, but it's not just going to happen overnight. We just need to be patient.
Fair enough. Eze, thank you so much, mate, for coming on the show. Fair play to you for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. See you later. Massive thank you to Eze there for coming on the show. For those that are a little bit confused, of course, about kind of where Eze's head was regarding Arteta, he's not Arteta out. It was just a dispute about the expectation of where we should finish this season. We've got another guest lineup is going to be coming on relatively soon. But as I said, I'm quite open to doing this show for longer. And I can see that there's discrepancies in the chat box as well, and a couple of back and forths. Look, if you are, as I've put up on the screen a number of times, if you disagreed with the point about Arteta having a new contract, then get in touch. Instagram DMs are open, so are Twitter. Just let us know, as long as you're over the age of 18, you've got a good place to record, webcam, etc. Then drop us a message and we'll get you on the show, and you can put your voice across and try and help me understand where your head's at with things. But chat box are calling people out now in the chat as well. Fingers crossed we can get our guest on very, very soon. As we are going to be doing that, let's jump into the chat and get some of your thoughts. Byron says, we are competing with City and the billions they have, and Liverpool with a great squad and the Klopp factor. Let's keep things in perspective. Maximir says, I feel it is right to announce the 5th contract extension now. It gives the confidence of stability to those extending their contracts and those new ones that we are targeting. And that's actually quite a nice segue because it brings us swiftly on to our next guest. I'm very happy to be joined. You've seen him before on the channel. It's Isowa. How you doing, mate? You good? You well? I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you for some reason? Look at your cam and mic settings. That's often the way to go. Settings at the bottom and then go into audio. Just while you're sorting that, Iso, I'll just have a quick jump into the chat box as well at the same time. Aya says, what I don't get with the Arteta out fans is that they come on with no rational and realistic replacements that could meet their demands for us challenging for the title. I think the number of people that have been linked with Arsenal from a managerial perspective have been pretty low. I feel like I heard something there. Are you there? No, I still can't hear you for some reason. Maybe try taking out the earphones and go through the laptop. That might help.
Do you hear me?
I can, but I can also hear myself. So you might need to turn your volume down a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you well, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you absolutely fine, mate.
Yeah, what's up?
No, that's fine. No problem, mate. No problem at all. When it comes down to the timing, of the contract, that's the point where me and you diverge. You're fine with the contract being offered. You're fine with it, continuing with Arteta, but you don't think we should have announced it now. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely correct, Tom.
Tell me why.
It, as you said earlier in one of your morning 8 a.m. shows, that it was inevitable that Arteta was going to get the contract. When we were speculating over Twitter about the fact that, in the Twitter Spaces, I think so, we were talking, and you mentioned the fact that I don't think so. He went to Denver, where the Cronkies reside there. I don't think so. He went there for transfers when it was getting desperate till the end of the month. I think so. He went there to basically extend his contract and talk about himself and the project overall. So I from that point on, I was like, all right, if you have the contract in hand, as we have games in hand, and you are positive, and as we know so far, games in hand does not equal games in points when you see the Southampton, Brighton, and the Crystal Palace games. So giving him a contract now is, I feel, a bit risky in the simple fact that Liverpool could fall down to Tottenham today, and Tottenham could do a madness, as we discussed along the side. Tottenham has the capability of doing well against Man City and Liverpool. Maybe I think they took points off of them this year too, right?
Yeah, they drew at home 2-2. I think Robertson was sent off, to be fair, in that game.
Yeah, so we don't actually know if Liverpool might actually get all the 3 points today. Why announce it when you are having mutual, palpable enthusiasm that you're going to stay beyond the 1 year that he was originally contracted for? So I feel like if you already are positive enough, the ownership has positivity in, the culture that he has built and the way he takes pictures with the whole staff around him, where he won the man of the I don't believe he won the man of the match that he deserved it. I don't think so. I think so Klopp deserved it that time. But if you see the picture, the way he has built the family type atmosphere around Arsenal, and everybody supporting each other, he has helped in contributing in that, and also developing the likes of the youngsters, Bakayo, Martinelli. But if you speak, this is the only part that I just disagree with, that the fact that they gave him a contract, the timing of the contract is a bit sketchy for me. If I argue the point, just as to go back on this, my argument for why this is the perfect time to announce it is because, one, it removes all doubt about whether or not he's getting a new deal. There's no distraction regarding questions about whether or not he's going to sign, whether or not it means we have to get top 4 before he signs. It takes that factor away. Furthermore, you have a Leeds game this Sunday. To announce it now, for the majority, and I believe the majority of the fan base are happy about this extension happening. I think it's a very small but loud percentage of people that don't. And I think that especially in the stadium, there is going to be a big reaction to this news on Sunday. And that kind of mental boost for both the players and the atmosphere going into such a crucial game is also really good. And I think that when it comes down to transfers, transfers aren't talked about
just when the season finishes. Transfers are being talked about weeks and weeks ahead of the window. And for a player looking to come to a club, the earlier that you are assured that, the manager is staying, that a new contract is done, you can say it in negotiations. Eddie could go into a negotiation and be like, yeah, he's staying. But without any kind of official announcement, there's always going to be that doubt placed in the mind of any possible transfer target. So my argument is thrice, and they're kind of the reasons why I think it's the right time. What is it about those that you would counter to say that it isn't? And you don't have to, but what are they? What do you think they are?
We don't know what's going to happen. Simple as that. I mean, we actually don't know that we're going to get top 4. That's the thing that I constantly lament, because we are speculating. We're talking about it as if we have already reached that point. I don't know if we're I've tried to be positive, of course. I want Arsenal to do well, but wanting Arsenal to do well and what they produce on the pitch is going to be totally two different sets of opinions or facts. Basically, Tottenham, if they do a madness today, I don't want them to, of course. But if they do a madness and then the North NLD is going to be the next time on their home ground, you don't know. If you toss it up,
we don't know. But what's the worst that can happen? So what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
That we don't make the Champions League. That's the worst thing that could happen, because the fact, Europa League, I don't count Europa League. I'm sorry, Tom. I don't.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm sorry. Europa League is what Conference League was 8 years ago, until a bunch of teams that fell out of the third group stage spot, heavyweights came in and started winning it, and then it gained a couple of legitimacy points. But it was always the Champions League for Arsenal. When we were basically hibernating in the Champions League spots the whole time, that's when we lost a sense of importance for this competition, and we made it like, fourth cup trophy and whatever.
Sure.
That's when Arsenal was stagnant, and then suddenly there was a drop-off when the last year of Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I don't like being in the Europa League. I want to be in the Champions League. I can't disagree. Yeah. My argument is in saying, what's the worst that can happen? As you said, the worst that can happen is that we don't make top 4. But we all know that a contract's going to be signed. There's no Arsenal fan out there that really felt like we'd finish 5th or 6th and he wouldn't get a new deal. I think we all knew that was going to happen, right? So why is it so bad about finishing, why is it so bad to finish outside the top 4 and then give it at the end of the season? Because if he's handed that new contract at the end of the season and people are unhappy that we missed out on top 4, surely then people would see that timing of announcing it at the end of the season as, awful, because we've missed out on what we wanted to achieve. And yet we've handed him a new deal. So surely announcing it now and removing all doubt about whether he's going to get one, if we finish in the top 4 or not, removes that chaos that could happen, if you know what I mean.
I understand what you mean, especially when Arsenal are guilty of doing this a lot. When it comes to the end of the season, they post the season tickets and stuff like that, and they increase it. So I get your point that you're saying this gives it a bit of a ramp up time, and like the temperatures won't flare, and everybody will be going out in summer and knowing fully well aware that Arteta already has a contract. You can't do anything about it. But as I said, if you want to negotiate for the players that you actually want, the big players that you're talking about, Eddie was talking about, Champions League, it's a big carrot that you can dangle in front of all those big players. That's saying, okay, you're a big time player. You want to come to Arsenal. We're building a project with Arteta. He has secured Champions League football with not the best players around him. He has to fight and struggle. By the way, that is also his fault too. That 3 games of Southampton, Brighton, and Crystal Palace, when we're talking the January transfer, that's another topic. But that was part of the reason I feel like I'm hesitant not to give him not to give him the timing of the extension. Like, what has he earned?
I think that those 3 games, though, you lose both your starting fullbacks. You then lose Partey for the Brighton and the Southampton game. I think that there are mitigating circumstances. And to be honest, the way we played against Southampton, we've played that well against that Southampton team and won. The Martinelli goal against Brighton that never was a joke. Like, that should have been given at halftime. And I think if it is given, we probably go on to win that game pretty comfortably. But it's that those 3 games, I think, get pulled up unnecessarily. But what I was a bit frustrated to hear was obviously that they handed him their contract after those 3 losses. That's when they offered him the contract. And I was a bit like, why then? I get the idea of going, you want to show commitment and you want to show that, wow, you've lost 3 games and we're going to offer you. But one, why tell people that? That's only going to bring up, why tell people that?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. But
Tom, that's a fantastic point that you have made right now. I mean, him admitting that, why would he, if he's a company man and he likes the concrete, why would he admit such an embarrassing fact? I mean, okay, you get that you're emotionally beside yourself. Oh, they gave me a contract when I was in my worst times. No. Don't admit that if you're a company man. Keep it to yourself. Keep it between you and the concrete. Don't talk about it. I mean, that's embarrassing. Like 3 defeats in a row to teams that we thought that we're going to actually beat. You cannot talk about it in that public of a manner. You cannot. That's fodder for the times when we lose again or we might lose again. That's not good for him and for the ownership, which I don't really like. I don't care for. But that's not a good idea to announce that you got the contract when you were losing 3 games in a row. That's bad.
It is bad. So thank you so much, mate, for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, as always. We may not see eye to eye on this topic regarding the timing of the deal, but what we do agree on is that he got that new contract, which is, positive.
He had to get the new contract. It's not about ifs and buts. No, he had to get it because he's the only person that actually applied himself. Ancelotti wouldn't have the time to get the whole culture of the club to actually reestablish it in the image that we once knew Arsenal was. A person like Arteta had to do it because that's his first job. It's a club that he loves, and he was willing to sacrifice nights, if not weeks, for him to actually get this club the way it is. He actually loves the club. If you get a person like Ancelotti or a Conte, they'll be there like for 1 year, 2 years. If the results don't go their way, they'll just parachute off to the next club. Arteta is the perfect, I think so, type of personality that, yes, I want the responsibility, and if it goes my way, so be it. But I will go from the ground level till all the way top to the 58 Burj Khalifa, whatever. I'm going to take this. I'm committed to take the club that far. So I think he's the whole person.
Yeah. You raise a lot of points that I agree with, mate. And you know that because you watched the show. But I think that we're going in the right direction. And I think that the contract is it was a necessity in a way. My preference was maybe to wait to offer it, if you know what I mean. My preference was to kind of let's just see what happens in the summer, because I'm basing a lot of my faith on 12 months. The summer of 2021, the impressive performances this season. So while my preference was maybe let's wait, a couple of months, just see what's going on in the summer, probably not realistic, but that was only a preference. But the fact that we've offered in this new deal, whilst that was a preference, it's not meaning that I'm against it. And I think a lot of the points that we've made today certainly say that as well. But so I tell people they can find you, mate, and give yourself a shout.
Yeah. This time I'll plug the Discord. You can find me in Discord. I'm not that active this time around. But
you have to pry him out.
And Twitter also, yeah. So thank you, Tom. Yeah, this topic is not about we're not managing eye to eye. It's not about that. We want the guy to succeed. We want Arsenal to succeed.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a struggle trying to find people that are willing to come on and, say the opposite, which I think probably says quite a lot, to be fair. I've just had someone message me asking to come on, and then it turns out they're Arteta in as well. So, it's tough finding these people that are willing to come on and have a chat.
But
willing to take respectfully.
Yeah, Tom, as you shown, like Arteta, it's not about Gooner talks, not about. Let me do a quick advertisement. Gooner Talk is not a place where it's not an echo chamber, like you said. I mean, if the guy deserves criticism, we're gonna criticize him really badly. I mean, the way he did with Xhaka, the Europa League, and then the Brighton game again, doing it. Why would you do that again? And that's why you might see people contacting you initially in the DMs. And then like reneging on that, basically. If you use that point, that's a good point. Arteta outs, use that point. I'm giving you a free.
There you go. He's giving you free ammunition. He's giving it to you. You got to come on. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll catch up soon. And thanks for being in the Discord as always, fella. Have a good one.
You too.
See you later. Massive thank you to Isowa for joining us as always. He's a great guy, and you can find him in the Discord server, as he says. Despite not being that active, if you prime away, you'll be able to find him, I'm sure. Let's jump into the chat box a bit, because whilst I've had a couple people message me, it turns out, like Chris Carrick in the chat, who I saw all of you giving a bit of stick to, it turns out he's Arteta in. So, you know, they're a rare breed. They're a rare breed, this Arteta out, it seems. What I will do is I'll tell you a few messages and comments that I've been getting previously on the videos have been like from an Arteta out perspective. And yet I asked them to come on the show. And, you know, I asked them to come and let's come and have a chat. Let's talk about where you're at. Let's talk about where your head's at. And it's always, no, too busy, can't come on the show, you know. And to be honest, people ask and people use specific names. And me and Dan Potts, for instance, you know, we come and have a chat all the time. Me and Sophie from the Hybrid have a chat all the time. I am only going to be willing to chat to people that are respectful, you know, and come on and talk about Arteta and criticize without swearing, without being abusive. That in itself is a skill that it's turned out to be in the world of football, to, you know, be able to criticize without swearing and being disrespectful and abusive. It's definitely a skill. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. John says, why are people comparing Arteta with managers like Klopp and Pep, etc.? This is Arteta's first manager's job, where Klopp, etc., have been managing for many years. John, to provide a bit of context, I think that this is probably about the fact that we should have gone for a coach of that kind of caliber in a lot of people's minds. I mean, if you'd said to me that, you know, Klopp's leaving Liverpool, Pep's leaving City, and we can have one of those two over Arteta when Arteta took over, I think we'd have been mad to say no. But the reality of the situation is that wasn't feasible. You know, Pep and Klopp weren't available, and they were. And when they were available, that's when we messed up, you know, because we held on to Arsene Wenger for too long, in my opinion, and we missed out on coaches like Pep Guardiola, and we missed out on coaches like Jurgen Klopp, and we could have got those in. We missed out on that, you know, and we find ourselves now with Arteta. And the reason why I'm, you know, I'd even say I'm slightly regretful of being really doubtful after the Villarreal game and doubtful after the Manchester City game, because whilst I thought at that time, and I did shows saying that I think that any other big club would move on from those players, maybe it's this impatience, maybe it's this tired nature that I've got with Arsenal. It's been so long since we won a title. I mean, I was 10 years old, you know, when we won the Invincible season, and so for a lot of younger fans, I think that frustration grows. I think younger fans sometimes get really awfully criticised at times as well, because obviously they weren't around necessarily during the golden era, so possibly, you know, yeah, it could be argued that their standards cannot be this high because they've never seen Arsenal in this way. But actually, you know, the younger generation of Arsenal fans, you've got to have a hell of a lot of respect for them. You know, these are young fans that have never seen Arsenal win a league. And that there are fans all over the world of a younger generation that support this club, having never yet seen in their adult life, even in their teenage years, Arsenal win a title, and yet they're still Arsenal fans. You know, if anything, you've got to have more respect for those supporters. A says, for me, when we lost Tierney and Tomiyasu, we should have played a back three to accommodate Cedric and Tierney. Again, I think there's arguable errors. Chris says, get Curtis. Yeah, Curtis Shaw. We follow each other on Twitter. He would have seen the tweets. If Curtis wants to come on, if you want to tweet Curtis, I'm more than willing to have a chat with him. More than willing to have a chat with him about Arsenal and Arteta. Ollie says, I was 2 when the Invincible season happened. This is what I mean. That's the last title that we won, Ollie, and you've never been able to see that consciously and to know that yet we're still Arsenal fans. You know, we suffer through these things as younger. I say younger, I'm 27. You know, I'm turning 28 later this year. I'd like to call myself a younger fan. Makes me feel better. But you know, it's mad. It's mad to think that that the younger generation of supporters that have never necessarily seen those titles and stuff can't have the same standards as people that, you know, so of my friends who are slightly older and have seen, you know, the 90s, even the 71 season, for instance. It's not about it's not about standards being different. It's about applying context to the situation. Arsenal have made bad decisions for the best part of a decade, more than a decade. We've made bad decisions in the market, with managers. I mean, you could argue that Arteta's appointment in the first instance was a bit of an error at the time to give such an inexperienced and unknown coach in the first team management circle this job. You know, you'd look at that and think that's a bit naive. Thankfully, he's proven that wrong this season, and it is this season, to be fair, part of the summer in 2020 as well. But it's mad to think that we've gone this long without a title, and yet there's some that feel there's an expectation or there's a duty, almost a right, that Arsenal should be competing for a title now. So there you go. IF says, Chris Whitehead made a good point. Fans are critical of Arteta because they view him in the same way they did when he was a player. If Vieira was the manager, maybe we would have a less dissent from the fans. I don't know if that's true. Arguably, it could be. Arguably, it could be the case that, you know, if we had Vieira in charge, who's got a legacy, got an iconic, legendary status at the club, would we have more leeway? Would we have more time for someone like him? If Arteta had finished if Vieira had finished 8th twice, like Arteta did, although, you know, the first one's tough to pin on him because of where he took over the club in the bottom half of the table. Would we have given this much time to Vieira if he finished 8th? I'm not sure. Depends what we would have done in the market. Depends what kind of football we've been playing. Depends what would have happened with the squad. And that's what I think that frustrates me so much, is that when I converse with, you know, people who aren't the biggest fans of Arteta or think he's not deserving of the contract that we've offered, and I say we're overachieving this season, in my opinion. You know, we've moved out so much deadwoods that was signed by the previous regimes and the start of Arteta's. You know, Arteta's taken a hit. Arteta's looked back at the signing of Willian and moved him on. You know, he's looked back at the signing of Pablo Maria, Alex Runarsson. Looks like those two are going to move on. You know, it's self-reflection that we didn't really get. Stubbornness is often a trait that people associate with Arteta, but only in certain circumstances. Actually, if he was really genuinely that stubborn, or if he really was, as some people like to describe him, as arrogant, which I think is mad, then he wouldn't have, you know, mutually terminated Willian's contract in discussions with him. He wouldn't have allowed Pablo Maria to be loaned out. If he was really that stubborn, you know, he would have kept him. And we would be like, no, I'm going to prove to everybody that I was the right person to have Willian in the team. I'm going to prove to everyone that I was right to have Pablo Maria as a starting centre-back for Arsenal. Clearly, he can't be that stubborn if he's going back and reflecting on those decisions and then changing that and bringing in Ben White and bringing in, you know, players like Martin Odegaard, etc., or bringing Saka through, or giving Smith Rowe or Martinelli. Martinelli wasn't a player that he signed. Smith Rowe wasn't a player that he signed. Willian certainly was, and yet he's developed those two into that left-hand side position. You go beyond that. You look at the players that he's moved on beyond that. Kolasinac, you know, Chambers, Bellerin, who else? Mustafi, Ozil, you know, players that people have complained at, have wanted to leave for so long. We moved those players out. We then brought in young players like Ben White, Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Lokonga, Tavares. You know, Tavares had his critics, got plenty of them, but, you know, it is a backup position that we needed. We went and sorted it. And in the first half of the season, when we had both our, you know, when we had a starting fullback on the right-hand side in Tomiyasu, you know, I think he did well. Ramsdale. How many people judged that Ramsdale decision incorrectly? Pretty much everybody. Nearly everyone. I'm sure there's a few people watching this going, no, I didn't. Fair play to you if that was you. But so many people. Not only that, but, you know, he's reduced the wage bill. He's reduced the average age of the squad. He's brought accountability into the team. I think it was Luca who came on first, said they would have Guendouzi back. I personally wouldn't. You know, I respect the fact that people would take Guendouzi back because of his quality. But I just think it was wrong place, wrong time, wrong club, wrong time, wrong coach, wrong time for Guendouzi. And it wasn't going to work. And it's not necessarily going to work. If it was a different coach, you know, I'd be more open to it. If Arteta wasn't the coach anymore and you say we got rid of him after Villarreal and still Guendouzi went on loan and we had a different coach here, then I'd be more open to it because I think there'd be potential for it to work out. But there just isn't. There just isn't, you know, the potential for that deal, that player to work at Arsenal now whilst we have Arteta. You know, there isn't a player that's bigger than the manager in this sense, especially Guendouzi. If we were talking about a Messi, Haaland, Mbappe level player that is the reason why you're competing, or the reason why you're in the top four, or the reason why you're wherever you are, and it's down to one player, and, you know, the manager's holding us back in that sense, then sure, then you can have an argument about, you know, leaning towards keeping a player over a coach, but not when it's a 20-year-old that, let's be real, did struggle at Arsenal. I really struggled to kind of define Guendouzi when he was at the club and to what he really gave us. You've seen at Marseille when he's given what he needs in that team under Sampaoli, a coach that trusts him, a Sampaoli that's willing to, you know, be patient with him, then sure, you can see what he's capable of, but it's just not what it is. I says, Tom, you're fighting a losing battle with the Arteta out fans. I haven't got a battle. I'm here by myself. We've only had Luca, who's been brave enough to come on, and fair play to him. It's not a battle at the moment because the opposition haven't really turned up. There's been plenty of opportunities for them to turn up, but not so far. This is a DM from Yosef on Twitter who says, "Hey Tom, can you please address Arteta's stubbornness with regards to players? That is my only fear with regards to the contract. Stuck with Willian made way longer than he should have. We got rid of him after the first season, Yosef. I don't think that's necessarily sticking with him longer than he should have. He got rid of him after the first season. Stuck with Aubameyang way too long, and recently stuck with Luca until he was out with COVID. And that is my fear. But he is better. He is the better manager out of the available ones, to be honest. I really don't think the reason why we're keeping Arteta, or that we should keep Arteta, is because there is no one better. And you see that argument quite a lot, don't you? You see the argument that who do we get? If we get rid of Arteta, who do we get? I say that. I'd ask that question, but that's not a reason to not change him. Not changing Arteta is, or rather having the opinion that we shouldn't change Arteta, should not be based upon the lack of options out there to replace him with. If that's the reason why you want Arteta to remain as Arsenal manager, because there aren't the options, I'd argue that there are options out there that, it's worth taking a risk on. If that's the only reason that you've got for keeping Arteta in the job, it's because you think that no one else could do the job. Because I could point you towards coaches, that I'd be interested in seeing what they would do. Christophe Galtier being certainly one of them. I'd like to see what Marco Rose at Borussia Dortmund might have done with this team. I know it's not been a wild success at Dortmund this season, but I still would have been very interested to see what he could have done. People will bring up Graham Potter. I don't necessarily think that he's the right person to take Arsenal forwards. Antonio Conte, there are coaches, but I would say that's not a reason to not get rid of him. The reason why you keep him is because of all the things that we've just talked about, all the things that we've just listed, all the things that have been achieved over this year. I think that a lot of people pin it on the 8th place finishes. I think a lot of people pin it on the standards of this football club. A lot of people pin it on the fact that, we should be up there, and at the moment we're here. And I get that. I really do understand that. And if you think that Arteta has not got the capabilities to take us to a title challenge, I can't disagree with you, because we've not got the evidence yet. We've not got the evidence yet to suggest that he can take us there. But what we do have the evidence of is that he can progress us. And if we're progressing all up until the time that we stop progressing, there's the chance. There's the chance that he can take us there. And that's what it is. And I think I discussed this with Dan Potts on Lee Judges TV. His argument was that if you're backing Arteta to get us to where we need to go, it's because you think that no other manager could do it. And I disagree with that point of view. The reason why people back Arteta is because they think he can. They think he can be the person, not because there's no one else that can, because they also think he can. Because to think that another coach could, sure, I think another coach may be able to take us there. But I've also seen enough from Arteta to tell me that I think that he also could. There's evidence to suggest he can. I'm not assured of that. I don't know that. But there's evidence that gives me encouragement that he could. And that's where I'm at. And that's why I'm where I'm at. We are, reluctantly, I have to say, we're going to round things off there. I say reluctantly because I am disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed. That said, I was about to say I had a request, but it's an old request. That's a shame. I am a bit disappointed, that those that are very anti-Arteta, especially those that turn up in our comment sections and chat boxes, did not decide to take up the offer. Maybe we'll have to do this a different time when they're more available. If you've watched this show and you've gone, I was working, I could have taken Tom to the cleaners today on this show, and maybe you could have done, then do comment and let me know that you feel that way. But, only if you're willing to come on the show and have a chat about the manager, because I really struggle to find people. I really, really do struggle to find people. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day, people. We've got a big game to watch this evening. Really looking forward to, fingers crossed, Liverpool doing us a massive favour. I I haven't taken a day off this week of the shows, which means I'm usually due to do that tomorrow, of the 8 a.m.s. So I may not be doing an 8 a.m. tomorrow because we have done 6 in a row this week, in fairness. But I will let you know. I'll put a post up if we are. Obviously, you'll see that in your sub boxes if we are doing it tomorrow morning. I don't think there's going to be another show today. I haven't got one planned. But if it does, you make sure you'll be able to see that on Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV, and of course on Twitter, on Instagram. You can follow us. Although I'm not the most active person on Instagram, it's fair to say. So, but you'll still be able to send us a DM. And as I said, if you've watched this show back and you're frustrated that you couldn't get on, then leave a comment and tell me that you would be happy to come on and have a debate about Mikel Arteta and explain your reasons as to why. If you know of someone that you think would be a good person, that that isn't abusive and that can remain respectful, then I'm always happy for a chat. But thank you for tuning in. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. And as always, up the Arsenal.